Now, on our feedback, we have marks out of five stars. What would you give us?
Oh, five.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this Portugal Calling webinar for the 21st of July, 2022. Moving your personal belongings to Portugal, and who better to talk to us than Luis Duarte from Global International Relocation. Luis, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. A bit tired, but well, very well.
This morning, and clearly you've had a busy day. It was lovely to see you in the office there, a real hive of activity. What's it been like then today at GIRHQ?
Well, I can tell you that I didn't have lunch and I just came off the office to be here with you guys right now. So I've not stopped yet.
I shouldn't talk about sandwiches, really, should I? So, okay.
Yeah. No, but it's not a problem. Today was a very busy day. You know, it's always challenging when you have, a big team when it's summertime as well, because in summertime you can have, a lot of stuff going on. So it's important for us to always remain calm, amongst all the different challenges. Okay, yeah. So today we had a few of them, but everything went well in the end, so we are okay.
Yes, indeed. And thank you for being such a trooper then and being with us this evening to take this deeper dive into
for sure
personal belongings to Portugal here. And we've broken it down into some subject areas. Please, folks, do get your questions in and we'll come to those towards the end of the webinar. But let me give you some basic categories that we'll be looking at tonight so that you can know if your question fits into any of these. We'll be looking at rules regarding import duty and taxes in Portugal, and perhaps that's where we'll start. We'll look at how to save and reduce costs when shipping, which is very important, of course. And I'm sure you'll all be very interested in that. Transportation by air freight, sea freight, and trucking of household effects, vehicles, fine arts, and accompanied or unaccompanied pets. Did I say unaccompanied or accompanied pets? Because, of course, you ship pets around the world. Is it important if your moving company is based in Portugal? That's a really important question. Stick around for that. What items should you insure? An excellent question as well, and a topic that we'll be going into this evening. And who can you call if something goes awry in the process? There are many moving parts, there are many variables, and we'll be answering that question too. So, Luis, shall we start then with import duties and taxes? I'll keep an eye on the questions, and we'll certainly go to some of the more personal questions at the end of the recording. So, import duties and taxes, what's the situation at the moment?
Well, that's a very important point for us to start off, because as the majority already know, Portugal, again, doesn't have different rules. Okay, this is not a different rule. This is a common rule that Portugal had for a long time, but it was done, the procedure itself was done in a different way. Okay, so basically, before we could come to Portugal and be able to, be tax-free, as we would just present or how do you call it, the or appointment at the CEF. Okay, so imagine if I have an appointment at CEF, that would mean that I must be coming to be registered in Portugal. Okay, so and before you could get that document, that appointment, go to the NIF, to the fiscal, to the finances of Portugal, and change the fiscal address to being living in Portugal. Okay, and today you can't do that. Yeah. You have to go through the appointment of CEF. You have to actually receive the actual residency. Okay, so, or at least the document saying that you are in the process of and you are going to be living in Portugal. Okay, and with that you are then eligible to go to the finances and change that part to be a fiscal resident in Portugal. Okay, so that's the most important thing about the import with being tax-free or whatnot. But the important thing is that if you are shipping to Portugal, you can also pay taxes. Okay, there's a lot of buzz around saying, what if I ship through Rotterdam? What if I ship through another country in Europe? There's a lot of buzz about that. And the truth is that all of that, it would be the same if you would ship through Portugal. Okay, the difference is that in Portugal, taxes and duties are most likely a bit higher than would be in Rotterdam, to say. Okay, But in Rotterdam, then you need to take the container out and drive up to Portugal, have extra handling there, extra handling in Portugal, have a truck driving down. You see, so the risk of that is much higher than just go around, than just go and ship it directly to Portugal. And why do I say ship it to Portugal directly? Because if we have an option, okay, which is imagine I'm a US citizen and I want to come to Portugal. Okay, I don't want to wait for that situation, okay, of having to wait for my residency and my fiscal address to be changed to Portugal. So I can go and I will instead of declaring, the insurance value of my goods, I will declare an amount which is just a normal amount for us to say that these are used goods and they are not going to be sold. Okay, this is a commitment that we will get with customs, and then we'll pay, taxes and duties over that. Okay, so over the cost of the goods plus the cost of the freight. So imagine for every we usually have a number which is about 70 to 80 euros per cubic meter, okay, when we do the taxes and duties in Portugal. So if you don't have a huge move, sometimes it's much better just to go and pay taxes and duties than to go and stay, in that situation of waiting, of having all of that to be taken care, because we need to think of all the things that we need also if we want to be exempt. You have to go to the Portuguese consulate. So if you go to the Portuguese consulate, that means that you are going to wait, to spend time, to spend money,
Yes.
to do that. And sometimes instead of spending all of that and then coming to Portugal, having to go to Junta de Freguesia, changing everything in the fiscal part, you can do all of that, in the due time, but for the move itself, you can avoid it if you pay taxes and duties. You see?
Okay,
So
please tell me that you go through this with people and check
oh
the
yeah,
swings and the roundabouts and come to the best option for individuals.
exactly. We do that every single time because our purpose is to advise our clients, on what's the best for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so am I supposed to, if I have a client that has a huge move, I will advise him straight away. I believe it's better to wait because he's going to save a lot of money.
Yes.
You see, because taxes and duties on a big move, it's going to be a lot, because it's proportional.
Yes.
So, but for a small move, for an LCL, for a small, imagine for a 20-foot container that is not full, or even a full container, sometimes it's better to go through that, okay, if you don't want to wait. For a 20-foot, of course, you'll spend more money. Yes, you will. Probably 2,000, 3,000 euros more for that specifically, you see?
All right.
But that's what I'm saying, you see, that's what I'm going. Is like, but is this money something that I want to save, or do I want my stuff there and I don't want to pay storage at origin, for instance? Yeah. You understand? So we do need to calculate that.
Swings and roundabout situation, isn't it? And figuring out what ultimately what the best cost.
Yeah. This changed the reality, okay? Because I could before just get a container, ship it, take care of the documents while the shipment is in transit. Yes. And once arrives in Portugal, we do the import normally. But now we can't do that, okay? Because we risk not being able to have the documents for that, okay? Because you will need to have the residency for you to be able to actually do the changing of that in the finances in Portugal. And that's the big thing, that's how you will declare that you are actually living in Portugal. It's not only a visa, it's the CEF, that's the important part.
All right, I need to say to everybody, for anyone who's in the condition of, oh my God, mind blown, this is so complicated, Luis and the colleagues at GI are here to help. And we mentioned this, begin the clarification process. So don't freak out, folks, if you are getting overwhelmed with information here. We're not going anywhere. We'll stick around. You can ask questions on the forum. Luis will be available to us ongoing, and we'll be on the morning show from time to time. So we'll get through this tonight. And I know it can seem very complex, but don't lose it at this point. And I'll start in this simplification process with a bit of jargon busting, because I don't think think you mentioned the phrase baggage certificate, yeah, and that's an important thing that some people will have heard for the first time in their lives. But the LCL, what was that?
Well, that's a groupage. That's like less than a container. Okay.
All right.
So it's literally what it means, less than a container load. Okay, LCL.
Okay, in case you were wondering what that was. But back to to arguably the more important baggage certificate. For the first time in some people's lives, they are coming across this phrase, this two-word thing,
Yeah,
baggage certificate. And it's implicit in what you were just saying, but can you put it into context for us about where that comes into?
I will, and I'll try to put it as simple as I can. Okay, I know I tend to explain a lot of stuff, and this is like this is like teaching a lesson, you know. But
no, it's a complex business. We totally get that.
It is. Yeah. So Portugal is a bit bureaucratic. Okay, so you will find that out when you come to Portugal. But that's one of the downsides. We have much better upsides than this one. Okay, but in Portugal, you know, we need some documents to prove that you are, you know, actually eligible to come to Portugal and to be able to be tax-free.
Yeah.
This means that first, a person to come to Portugal and to be tax-free, that person has to be in the origin country for at least 1 year. Okay, so you could have lived all your life where you are at, okay, but this is the rule. Okay, you must have lived in that country for at least 1 year to be able to come to Portugal and to be tax-free. Now, second rule, you can't have been in Portugal for more than a year after you actually come to Portugal to receive your goods. Okay, so you have to be out in the origin country for more than a year, but when you come to Portugal, you can't be in Portugal for more than a year and then receive your goods. So this is the time frame situation. Now let's go to the documents. Okay, with the documents, this means that first document you have to do is you get to have a visa. Okay, you can't get into Portugal without a visa to be able to live here. That visa will allow you to apply for the residency here. Okay, with that application for the residency, because let's say you go to the CEF, with that visa you could already request one document for import because you are coming to Portugal, which is called the baggage certificate. Okay. That baggage certificate is acquired at the Portuguese consulate in the origin country. Doesn't matter which country and whatever you are at, you have to find the closest Portuguese consulate so you can get that baggage certificate to you. Okay. Challenge with that, each consulate works in different ways. Okay, this is weird, I know, but they do. Okay, so that's what happens. So if you go to Washington, they work in a way. If you go to Miami or to any other one in California, it's a different set there. Okay, but still the US is very good. In the UK, it's a different as well procedure, but fortunately, we don't need to go to China, where, you know, at least I don't see any people here from China, I believe, but we never know. but if there are, you know, that is challenging because they request the person to be present. Okay, in the US and in the UK, they also they allow you to request all documents via email and to do everything via email. Okay, so you just send the documents via post afterwards with the check to pay the baggage certificate, and then they will proceed with that. Okay, so that's the advantage. But let's put the documents in the right place. At origin, you will need to think about baggage certificate. That's the only document you need to think about. Okay, you have the visa and the baggage certificate. Once you arrive in Portugal, then you have to go to set an appointment at CEF, the SEF, okay, the Foreign Affairs in Portugal. When you go there, you will set the appointment so you can be a resident in Portugal. With that appointment done, you now have a document that they will provide to you where says all the documents, you know, everything that you have provided to them already. And you will come out with a document saying that you will be living in X address and you are here under the status of a D7 visa or whichever visa there is, okay, for you. And with that document, then you can go to the Portuguese finances called Finanças, okay? And in the finances, you will, which is actually called Autoridade Tributária, okay? That's the actual name of that place. And you will change then there because you have requested a fiscal number before, okay? And you will request them so they can put you as a resident, a fiscal resident in Portugal.
Yep.
Let me just say this very clearly. If you don't have the intention to come to Portugal, fiscally speaking, I mean, if you don't want to be if Portugal is your second residence, then you are not eligible to be exempt of taxes and duties. Okay, this is very important because some clients think that no, I have a house in the US and I have my second house in Portugal. Wonderful, I'm glad for that, but you cannot be exempt of taxes and duties. You see, that's the point. All right, so you go to, going back, you go to the finances, you get this document, and then we'll fetch the last document of this situation. Okay, yeah, there you go. So you will go to in your area of residency, you will have a town hall. We call it here Junta de Freguesia. Okay, it's not even the chamber, it's the Junta de Freguesia. It's like literally the little authority department of that specific town. Okay, so you go to your Junta de Freguesia, and there you will request an atestado de residência. Okay, which is basically a residence certificate. Okay, that residence certificate will attest that you have arrived into that residency in X date and you are now living there from X day. Okay, so that's the important thing, because what will customs match? Customs will match if your address in if your fiscal address is the same address as your address in that little document, atestado de residência, and they will also match the baggage certificate to understand if you are actually eligible to be exempt of taxes and duties coming to Portugal, if you have that vouch from the Portuguese consulate. Yes. Okay, if you do have everything, they will gather everything together along with the list of the goods. And by the way, in that baggage certificate, you will need to mention all the items you want to bring to Portugal. Okay, this is important because when we do the packing, we will be doing an inventory, and what customs will do will be, they will be matching if this inventory we have done actually matches with what you have declared that you are bringing to Portugal. Okay, yep. And that's it. And then you are exempt. Yeah, it's as simple as this. Very simple process.
And the baggage certificate is to help you become exempt, or do you have to have it anyway?
No, you have to have it anyway.
Anyway, but it is the basis for your exemption of taxes and duties within that first year.
In theory, yes, you could present, you could present the IRS for last year in your origin country. Yes. You could present the whole year of bills to prove that you lived in another country. Yeah. And in theory, the customs in Portugal would be obliged to accept that. Okay? I'm just giving you in theory, because in practical ways, it doesn't happen. They will create a problem after a problem, and this will not go through. I'm just giving you like what I know to be real. Okay, that's why I pursue,
and that's why it's such a crucial document.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, thank you. I think we should move on at that point, and we'll come back to any questions about that part, duties, tax, baggage certificates, and so on. Another key question for people is how to save and reduce on all these costs that we're talking about, the total bill of moving things here to Portugal. Basically, what to ship and not to ship. A lot of people are thinking, we had this conversation this morning, didn't we? Some people are saying to you, I've got my 3-bedroom house and my 2 cars and my motorbike. Bring it all over, please, Luis. Take care of it. Other people, of course, will be deciding, they'll be micromanaging their move, and there'll be certain things that are worth moving, not worth moving. What, in your experience, are the really important things that people bring, and what can be left behind?
Well, I believe that every time we move, not just internationally, but every move every family does, we will always gather things together and throw them away or give them away or stuff like that, because it's the time for us to do the how do you say, to choose right, what am I really using this, for, I've been seeing that for such a long time, but I've never touched that. So am I going to bring it to Portugal? You see, so I would start there, to really focus on what should I actually bring to my country, because in the end of the day, if we look into international moving anywhere, we are talking about feelings. This is the main reason for moving, it's usually not economical, because today we all have IKEA, so we could sell everything in one place and buy everything in another place, and we would be okay. We would have a bed to sleep, we'd have a sofa, we'd have the TV, everything would be fine. you know and the beer is cheap in Portugal, so that's the important part. Yeah, but the thing is we don't do that, because there you go. So that's not what we do, because we have our history, or past, or family, or memories, and that's what we bring. That's why we do moves, and because, we human beings, we like to be home, you see, and we take home everywhere with us, you see, like the snails, we do take home with us. And that's the important thing. That's why we do moves, because we don't want to be in a foreign country and have everything being foreign. No, I want to have something that makes me belong to home, you see. So that's why we have the moves going to around the world, you see. And so when you come to Portugal, my advice is, coming from US, for instance, a bunch of electronics don't work here, so don't bring them here. You see, they will not work. You need to have a transformer. The frequency is different, so things will not work. Things will break, in due time, unless they are very new, like the LCDs. We have a lot of new LCDs that, they have already the change. They can hold 110 till to 120 volts, so that's good. If you do have items like that, okay, bring them over. But I would think in this way, like, I would gather my family and I would probably look into what we have. Now, if I only have very little, when I say very, very little, it's literally little. If I came down just to 5, 6 bags, I would say, you know what, guys, I'm just bringing my memories in these bags, and I don't want furniture because I can sleep anywhere. Okay, no problem.
Yep.
But I would just do, I would just pay extra luggage in the airplane. This is what I would do, or send it, or send it through FedEx or something like that. You see, now, if my move actually has, artwork, has, delicate stuff that I want to keep them straight, then I would think on doing the move, even if it's small. Okay. That's if the things are fragile, because then we will take care of that. We'll do a very delicate packing. We will do, the shipment, whatever it needs to be, by air, by ocean, LCL, or a container. But in my mind, if we are investing and in moving, I'm saying the right word. This is an investment. When we do the move, we are doing an investment. And like every investment we do, there's risks to it. And this is important to know. Okay. So I'm always saying that we do a very good job, but we are not a flawless company. Sometimes things don't go so well, and we try to commute to, and some problems come along, like, imagine you want a container and there's no container, and we already did the packing. How do we get these things going? You see, now we need to have them in storage in the origin country while we don't have a container. So you see, like, there's a lot of things or bits of things that we can see that have a risk in the move. We will always minimize the risk, okay? And this is why it's so important to choose a very good company in your move. I know that we have a lot of people listening here today, and I'm glad that we are all learning together, which is important. But in the end of the day, not everyone will move. And in the end of the day, not everyone will go with a very good company, you see? So, but the important thing is the mind, is what we have learned. And this is my experience that I'm giving to you today, okay? Which is, if you want to do the move, you need to be aware that moving is going to there are going to be risks there, okay? So how am I going to minimize them and to control them? That's how am I going to go about and working my move. So from the mover that works with me, to the guy that goes to my house and packs everything, to the whole procedure, it's important, to get the documents and all of that. It's important for me to be aware of how am I going to do this. Am I getting a glimpse of what I'm doing? Okay. And of course, with this, I also want to say that sometimes we want to just take a little. Okay, let me just take a little bit because it will be cheaper. It's not true. Okay, and when I say it's not true, it's because, for instance, in the US, in the UK, in the majority of the countries, there's a minimum charge. So they will charge you a minimum for at least like 5 cubic meters, 1,000, 2,000 pounds. So they will charge a minimum. So if they charge a minimum and you have less, you'll pay more for less. You understand? So it's
well, we need to balance that against what we're deciding to bring you back to the question about what to bring and what not to bring. I'm gleaning from what you're saying that the emphasis, the priority should be on the sentimental attachments, and the things of great value. The more generic sort of items that you, as you say, you could buy in IKEA anywhere in the world. Maybe
exactly.
deprioritize those sorts of things to save money, but then be aware at the other end of it, if you minimalize so much, you're going to be up against the minimum costs anyway. So
Exactly.
it's worth thinking about what sort of volume to bring. Thank you. Candy, I think, is communicating with us from the chat about electronics. Just to clarify on that, I think what Luis was talking about, that the things that don't travel well are things with motors, basically. I think that's a particular weakness of shipping stuff from the US if it has a motor. Certainly things like laptops with dual voltage, they're not such a problem, but anything with a motor will struggle. So that juicer, it's time to let that juicer go, maybe, that you bought and never used anyway. For example. Okay, so that's really helpful. What to ship, what not to ship, and I'm sure people will have something to say from their experience, possibly in the chat as well. You've mentioned their minimum amounts, full containers, part loads, etc., and whether it should be sea freight versus air freight. And actually, if I could take you back a little way, I mean, it's not that we are talking a lot about containers and sea freight here, but you'll ship whichever way is the most effective. You're not a sea freight shipping company. You'll use any means necessary, right? Road, rail, sea, and air to get people's stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's, when the most important thing is, for instance, when we start the process, the first thing we do is that we set a call with the client. Okay, we will talk about all the procedures. We'll be able to understand, how we need to go about and learn all the documents, everything, and then we do a visit, even a virtual visit. Okay, so we can understand the volume of the goods, the intention, okay, of what do I want to take. All right, and this is basically that, the intention. And this is, I always tell to all my clients, I say, what, now it's the time. You can give me as many options as you want, because I'll have the same work, to do. I'll gather the information and I'll give you the options.
Yes.
So you can gather the option of less stuff, more stuff, or everything, But that's the thing, like, we will only provide to you, what's really needed. If it's an air freight, we will provide that first. I will not give you a sea shipment if the best choice would be to ship it by air. All right, so that's the important thing.
All right, very good. And being based in Portugal as you are, How important is that? Because some people might be thinking, oh, I've got a nice little deal in my country of origin here. I'll use them. You are, I mean, if we talk a little bit about GIR here, you're obviously Portugal based and you're part of an association of international movers. So you can literally mobilize people all around the world. How important is it ultimately, though, to have a Portugal-based company? Because I'm presuming if you're coming here, it might be quite good to be dealing with a company who is also based here ultimately.
Yeah, in the end of the day, this is how I think, of course, by saying this, it's, if you say I'm working only with the destination company because it's more reassuring because they will be at the destination and I can have an assurance that they are there. You see, that's one thing, but it's not only that, okay? Because I also do a lot of exports, and I book them as well, and I have the destination country. The thing is not that. The thing is the country itself, okay? I am in Portugal, okay? And in Portugal, as I said, this is bureaucratic. So imagine, I know exactly how to go about and do the import procedure. I know which documents will fail, which documents will not fail, and I know how to advise in the better way so we can actually prepare things to be able to succeed, you see. So if and my experience tells me that my partner at the origin country, it doesn't do that. He only asks for a list of documents needed for import custom clearance in Portugal, but it can't explain how everything goes. It can't really say, no, in SEF, things go in this way. No, you need to change this because this is this specific word you can't have there. You need to have this one because he doesn't know that. You will send the documents to him and he will say, okay, everything is fine. Okay, go. I've had a lot of shipments in the past. And this is interesting because you know what, Carl? The thing is that even our webinars have changed a lot of stuff, honestly, because a lot of people, when they come and they see the webinar, they are now prepared and they come and they say, you know what? But Luis or George or Giselle or whoever is taking care, how, but is this document okay? And they send us the document. And I can immediately say yes or no. Oh, you have to go and change that one, or you have to ask for this, bit to be changed or whatever. And that's the important thing, is that you are now aware. And I see
we're priming people here, ready for their move.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's not misleading people. You understand? Because I've had a lot of people that they read in the internet a lot of stuff, and they're like, "Oh no, I read that this is in this way," but the reality is not what the internet is saying. There's a lot of blogs that we can look into and think we are receiving a lot of good information, and sometimes that information is old, it's not accurate anymore because the blogs stay there, and the information is there, it's for free, but we don't really have like the real information updated. And that's the important thing.
On the upside, in the kind of honeymoon period of working with a company somewhere else in the world, whether it be Massachusetts in the US or Manchester in the UK, if they want your business, they're going to be saying to you, yeah, no problem, we can ship to Portugal. And then later on in the process, they might be saying, they want some really weird stuff over there, and I don't really understand what this thing is they're asking for, but we're working on it, don't worry. Whereas, as you just said, you know exactly what's going on, and from your own experience, you know how to get through these things. And presumably, there are people you work with time and time again on this side of the water, which would help a great deal. Okay, so that's good. Portugal based, that's GIR. And you have, I mentioned just briefly, but you are part of a global association network.
Yeah, we are actually part of a few of them. Okay. And if you look into that, and very quickly, you have the three main associations in the world you have IAM, International Association of Movers, you have FIDI, Fédération Internationale des Ménagements, whatever the last word is, and then you have Omni, okay, which is basically a selection of the FIDI movers. So if you look in scale, you have Omni has about 100 members. You have in FIDI about 800 to 1,000. And in IAM, you have about 3,000, 4,000 companies. So we are the only Omni company in Portugal, which means that we are striving for quality, okay? And we only work with certified agents. So I want an agent that has all their management, controlled. I want them to have someone that audits their companies and know that they are financially stable. Because if they are not, I may receive a freight and I have to pay twice. You understand? And we want that to be everything straight. You want to have reliable companies working for you that are financially stable, that can help you, with quality materials for the packing, and not, just a company that is there to do, no, I just want to do it, so because I heard that you get a lot of money doing international moving. And I'm being honest, because you see this today, okay? With the pandemic, a lot of people started to move, and you see a lot of vans now going around Europe and stuff like that. And they say they do international moves, but the way of packing, it's very poor. Doing an international move, you have to be careful. Again, these are memories that we have, and we need to keep them safe. We need to keep them sacred. And this is only with professional packers, okay? With also a good insurance to help you with that,
Well, let's talk about that. Insurance, does that come part and parcel of the quotation you'll be giving to people? And say, for example, there was a really good question from somebody here talking about moving a precious collection, I think of Wedgwood, possibly, antique items, special fine arts and delicates. Tell us about your insurance situation. Does it come as standard, and should extra insurances be taken out with things like that?
Insurance is always something paid aside, okay? Because the insurance is calculated over the value. I am not an insurance company, but we do work with insurance companies, okay? And actually, the insurance companies we work with, they are in the US, the name of this company is called Pack Global. We work with them, okay? And they are the company that helps us to be able to insure all our clients while they move, okay? Why do we work with them? Because they're fit to moving, okay? So this is a company that has developed their business around moving, not cargo, not any type of other business, but moving. So they gathered, a bunch of underwriters who finance, these insurances, to say, but they are specifically fit to moving. So when we have a claim, there is a portal where our clients go in, where they put all the pictures of the damaged items, where they can put the values, where then we have one person in our company that only does that. It's only insurances, claims, doing policies, helping people, answering questions, because it's important to know that the move itself, if you don't insure your move, and it's important to know that insuring the move, it's a vital part of it, because the insurance will not only cover the move, but will cover the transportation, okay? So I'll just give you a brief example. We have, in years back and recently as well, we have seen a few accidents happening in big big transportation vessels, okay? And there is a problem with that. Every time a container, imagine a container has whatever, it's not your container, but other container close to yours starts to burn, whatever, it burns a part. Your container was not burned, okay? But the area of the vessel was. All the containers there will pay for that. It's not only that one, okay? So it's important for us to know that that insurance will cover your trip, whatever happens there, you see? Not only that, but will cover the goods. In 14 years, I have had one time, it was 3 years ago. It was right before the pandemic. I had only my very first time a shipping line losing a container. Imagine a container being lost. It was 85,000 euros there, you see? So that part was paid by the insurance company, and then the insurance company goes and fetches this money with the vessel company, with the carrier, which we call the co-insurance. Okay, so he goes and he gets the money from the other guys that had the responsibility. But in the first place, the person was paid. You see, so this is important. We need to know that things can happen. This was one time thing that happened, and it's very, very rare for these things to happen. My boss, he was at the time for almost 30 years in the business, and was the first time for him. For me, was earlier. Oh well, what can I do? But
being frank with us with that, I mean, these things can happen. There are a lot of variables moving things at sea.
there are.
Hence the phrase, worst things happen at sea. And this can happen. And it's good to know that the insurance is part of this. You manage that, and you're specialist or connected to specialists in that regard. Can people take out extra, and do they take out extra insurances of their own? Is that how it works sometimes?
Well, yeah. For all my moves, I have all clients doing an insurance, but I have to explain one important thing about insurance.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think, okay, well, my goods are not worth much, so I'll just insure for $1,000. No, you can't do that, because the insurance has actually rules on them. Okay, so the insurance is has been done for moving for a certain reason. Okay, there are rules into that as well. If you have an insurance that is, you have to declare a replaceable value for the goods that you have. So I'm not saying that you have to declare every single thing. Of course, you should declare every single thing, but you can focus on the high value items. So all the items that are worth, for, I would say, more in between $700 to $1,000 per piece, I would insure them, specifically. But all the rest, I would also put a value and do something on, clothes X amount, dishes X amount, books Y amount, all of those items I would specify. And I would also, declare if I have more than one, like bicycles, if I have 3, 4 bicycles, but they all have different values, I would probably declare the same value ones together and the other ones together. Okay, because in insurances, what happens is you will declare a value and they will hold you accountable for the value you declare. Okay, so if you are in Portugal now and you want to claim, and that thing costs more than what you have declared, then the insurance company will say, hey, you know what, guys, you tried to actually throw me off, you tried to say something that is not true, so they will deduct in the same percentage. You see, so imagine if I say it's 100 and it's 500, they will take 5 times less, or they'll say, I'll not give you any money back. You see?
All right. So it's not something to be taken lightly when you're doing
No, it's not lightly. We do need to take it seriously. Yeah.
Well made. Thank you, Luis, on that. Okay, we've got some great questions. We'll go to those in just a moment, but I just want to get some reassurance for people who, should they need to call you, there's this moment, isn't there? It's quite exciting, I think, when you've got to the point of seeing all your stuff on the lawn. You're excited about your move to Portugal, and it's going into the back of the van. And then it disappears, doesn't it? And it might disappear for several weeks. And in that time, you're thinking, where's my stuff? Who do you call at GIR to get reassurance about where it is? Do you have a case
There
manager?
You go.
How does it operate at your company?
That's actually a very, very cool question, because we have never talked about that, specifically what happens. So this is what happens.
You're waving it goodbye. It's not
exactly. It's like, oh, guys, nice to meet you. Bye now. No. So what happens is that in Global International, we have, the salespeople. So you'll have a sales accountant that will be with you for the whole procedure of sales. Okay. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2, okay? Because we work in teams, okay? So we have teams of 2 people in every teams of sales, okay? And in that team, so we don't lose track of any information, because, a lot of people in sales in our area, we go to a lot of houses and we spend a lot of time outside of the office, the person that does surveys. So then we have a person in the office, that is the inside sales, that manages, everything that is happening, you see. So if there's an email to be replied, that person will reply to that client, you see. So the client will not be hanging, waiting for an answer. So we do that quite well. Afterwards, when the move is actually booked and we proceed with the move, then you will have a coordinator from our team that will be the person managing the move from point A to Z. And now the question is, does this mean that that guy, I really like to talk with Luis about the move, and he was so helpful. I want to talk with Luis forever. Luis is not going to go away, but the thing is, is not going to be always available, you see. But if there's any challenge, always in our mindset, the sales is responsible. The sales, he has to give the word, has to support, to be there, you see. So this is how we proceed. Of course, our coordination team is fantastic, okay? They are led by a very good leader, and they are fantastic teams. So each of them, they know exactly what to do. And our teams for Europe and for the US and Africa, etc., they work very well. So our main purpose, and still, we are still a company in progress.
Yes,
So we are still going to go to that part where we're going to have a tracking number for our clients and all of that, and you can track online. We don't have it yet, okay, but we will have it. But we can help you. You send us an email and we'll reply to you with that day, okay, saying, yeah, your container is still in the ocean, is going to arrive in Portugal in X date, and this is what we have. So,
sure, that's very reassuring, and we look forward to the day when you have the digital tracking. But it's nice to have that old school personal touch for sure.
No, of course, yeah.
What about then people thinking of putting a tracking button? Some of your customers must put like an Apple RFID kind of thing on the container. That happens, right?
May happen. I don't know if it does, but may happen. May happen. Actually, I was in the Web Summit and I was looking into that, because I was quite interested in how we could get this into moving, because it's quite interesting, because you always base, everyone does the same. You always base your prediction on what you can see from the shipping line, you see. So the shipping line has the BL. Actually, to everyone who is here, this is a disclaimer, but everyone could always know where a container is at if you only put the number of the BL there. So in the internet, you'll always find your container. Yeah. This is
so
true.
like a flight radar. It's the same for shipping.
Like that. Yeah. It's the same. It's the same.
Very interesting.
Works in the same way. Yeah.
I would say to you, Luis, expect some calls in the morning. We have some very switched on tech and savvy people here who are thinking, I'm going to work with Luis on that tracking system. So expect some collaborative calls, I think, very soon. Although it has to be said, and this is a great observation from one of our friends here, Phil Ruff. Portugal is a relationship-based country.
Yeah, it is.
It's not transactional or primarily digital, and that's why I think people will like the fact that they can ring you up and speak to you, because I think that's the way people prefer to do business, right?
Yeah, they do. But note that a lot of good tech guys are coming out of Portugal today. Okay, the big guys in Google, the big guys in Apple, a lot of them come from Portugal. And I'm telling you that because I do their moves, And so,
okay, so we expect some calls from some headhunters as well tomorrow. These tech guys you're helping, I need some names and numbers. Okay, all right, this is fantastic, Luis. We'll go to some questions now. Astrid, thank you. Don't forget to mention the 5%. I'm going to do that right now. 5% discount for premium members on all services at GR. Thanks for that, Astrid. Gary is concerned. Now, we are painting some worst case scenarios here, Gary. I don't know how much fun you're poking here, but Gary is concerned that he has a lot of photography and video equipment together with tools to restore the old manor house. It sounds like a lovely Portuguese dream. I'm getting worried. I think he shouldn't be worried. He should just be aware, right? And that's what you're trying to do, is to alert people to the variables and how to mitigate those things.
Yeah, no, not to be worried, like if we worry too much, we don't live happy, in our lives. It's literally like when I see, I'm very rational, but I'm also sensitive, to all the situations in each person's life. So what I can say is I've had a client who was he was how do you say the person that is in the radio, the one that is talking? How do you say that? That
broadcaster, that kind of person.
There you go. That name. Sorry, I didn't know. Yeah, but he had a lot of discs. The big discs, the vinyls.
Yes.
A lot of vinyls, and he was worried about that as well. It's kind of the same, So the important thing is, how is this going to be packed? And how can you also, because your type of materials, how can you protect it in a better way? So so everything will arrive safely there. You see, we will do our job, but if our client who does that, for passion, for profession, whatever reason it is, you know, he sometimes could actually know better, you know, how to have that packed well. You see, I have a client that does photography in Africa. All right. And this is all he does. He does photography in Africa, literally. Okay. He's in the bushes, photographing the giraffes, the lions, and stuff like that, you know. And he does that, you know. He has backups for all the pictures, you know. He has that he doesn't send in a movie, sends in another movie. You know, he has all of this protected, you know, so he can be assured that his job is safe. Okay. Now, is going to happen anything to it? No, has never happened. You see, it just protects himself. But I would not be worried about moving. Moving is safe. Okay, moving, it's actually very safe. Sometimes things can happen. It's true. And again, I told you, one time happened this container. It's not a good example, but it's an example that happened, you know, but has never happened one. For me, never, you know, and for my boss was like in 30 years time. So imagine the probabilities are very, very low. Okay.
Sure.
And today, less and less, less and less.
Okay,
Yeah.
I hope that's of some reassurance to Gary there. David, surprised and gladdened to see all the USA residents in this group considering planning this move. I'm joining you all from Florida. Hi, David. Good to have you here tonight. Annie, thank you. This guy is great. Thanks, Carl. That's you, Alicia, talking about there. John was saying wrong on the internet. It's hard to believe, John, but yes, sometimes you get a little bit of that misinformation and that needs fact checking. And connecting back to the vinyl records, which must have been a very interesting collection. But I'm going to call you A. Can Luis give some guidance on how to take a wine cellar? And what about wine held in bond, i.e. not received yet in the UK? Very interesting. So, yeah, you might want to talk a bit about bonding and moving of wine. I mean, you must have done that for people.
Pooh, I have done that for people. It's a headache, I can tell you.
After you've drunk too much of it or whilst moving?
No, it's tough. It's tough. It's not tough to ship it. It's not tough to do it, you know. But the important thing is, you know, when you ship wine into Portugal, for instance, Portugal is a wine producer.
Yeah.
So where do you think that they are going to be taxing? Of course, in wine. You see, they will be taxing in wine. They'll be taxing in cork. They'll be taxing in the things that we produce. But honestly, it's not a huge tax that they do in the wine. Spirits are a bit higher, okay? But in wine, it's not that high. But the thing is, you are not allowed to bring wine into Portugal unless only one, I believe it's 1 liter. So you can't bring more than that, you know? Well, 1 liter, yeah, it's that. It's actually that. Yeah. So go figure. It's not much. You cannot bring wine to Portugal. If you do bring the wine, you have to pay taxes and duties.
So that's the headache part.
That's the headache part. It's because you have to pay. Exactly. No, because it's tough. You know, a lot of people have a cellar for many, many years, okay, in their house. And this bugs people thinking, well, I have this is mine, you know. I have some bottles for 30 years. Am I going to pay taxes and duties over that bottle? It doesn't make sense to me, you see, which is true. It doesn't make too much sense, but this is the reality, you know. We will need to declare a value to that, and then we will need to pay taxes and duties over that, you see. So that's, you know, I have never digged into collectors and stuff like that to see if there's any break, how do you say, any opening in the law.
Right.
But I will go into that because this bugs me as well, you know, so
there's something that we might have to go back to, which will be a pleasure to do, actually, to find out more about.
Yeah, for sure.
Would you presume then that the duty payable is on the declared value of the wine?
Well, it depends. It's actually on the alcohol percentage.
Right, so but like, you know, if somebody's got a 1927 Chateauneuf du Pape that they've been saving for their grandmother, or something like that, and like there might be a market value on that. This is for instance, I don't know what I'm talking about with wine. Nothing has ever lasted that long in my wine. I don't have a wine cellar, which tells you all you need to know about my wine drinking habits. But if somebody has had something for 30 years and it was auctioned at a huge value, is that huge value what the duty is paid on, or is it like you said to do with the alcoholic value?
You know, for the alcohol, I actually have prepared, you know, for let me see if I put this here. because these are always questions coming up, and alcohol, it's
You Americans,
you.
your wine sellers. This
Oh
is
yeah, they do have a lot. It's true, but you always have diretiva in Portugal. There you go, bebidas alcoólicas. So they will always be. They ask for an invoice. You don't have an invoice because you own it for such a long time. Okay, so it's true. It's based on the CIF value. Okay, but then there's also a tax paid on the alcohol in the spirits. Okay, so let's sum up this. If we say that our alcohol, we declare we are not going to sell it, and we declare a lower value to say, the problem is we will provide a list of all this alcohol. Okay, we need to. This is mandatory.
wow.
And when we provide a list, then the customs can come and say, no, this is not the value. The value to be declared is this one, and you have to pay over this value. You see, that's the challenge. Okay. Now, wine will pay 11 to 15% plus VAT. Okay.
Right.
And then for all the spirits, you will pay 15 euros per hectoliter, which is per every 1,000 liters, I believe. No, per 100 liters. There you go. So 15 euros per 100 liters, something like that. Okay. So that's the percentage on the alcohol. It's not big. Okay. But the percentage on the wine itself, it's based on the value that it's worth. Okay. So if in Portugal it's very high, what you just said, you may be facing, paying more. You could declare less. This is what I'm saying. Okay. You could declare less. It will be up to customs to reason for themselves. Okay. The majority of the times they understand this is a move. They understand that these people are not coming to sell wine, especially because you are not going to sell, 100 or 200 bottles, of course.
So that there's a distinction for a personal collection.
Exactly. You are not going to, you would bring a full container with wine for selling, you're not going to bring, a few boxes of wine, 5, 10 boxes of wine. So that's the distinction.
All right, we'll stop the recording in just a moment, but maybe quite a good point to conclude here. And thank you, Luis. You've been talking for an hour here, and I think it was Alice who was saying you have a very calm demeanor manner. I can't see that comment just right now, but absolutely right, he has, and safe hands to be in. I'll come back to that comment later, but a really good question from Andy, who is I think, going for the minimalist approach that you suggested might be the best way if you're not going to be bringing loads of stuff. And this refers to the attitude of customs, if you like, and what you might expect from Portuguese customs and how lenient or harsh they might be. In this instance, a duty question. I'm coming with just the bags I can carry, mostly clothes, but I will also be bringing 4 laptops and a significant amount of video equipment, all intended for personal use and possible later business use. What should I expect re-duty payment? So first bit of that is, what sort of reception do people get from Portuguese duty raisers, if we call them that, the customs people? Are they seen to be and known to be quite harsh, or will they be able to entertain these grey areas of owning personal things and make kinder calls, if you like?
There are different people everywhere, and there are good people in customs, and there are the rough ones in customs. Okay. So what I mean with that is, you have a few of them that are, a bit of a pain, and that's where we come in. Okay, that's why we get everything prepared. That's why we have the experience. So we put the process itself. But I believe that this question is more in coming in the airplane and going through customs while passing in the airport.
Professional equipment. And I know there are some sorts of professional disclaimers on it.
Exactly. So with that part, like how harsh they can be. Well, if you bring the invoices, proving these are your stuff, you have paid them a while ago, you own them for a long time, you prove that you are with a visa coming to Portugal, and you say that I have an appointment or I already have an if, you may get out of there with paying anything, okay, because you are just bringing your goods. Now, if they want to, and also you need to understand, you are bringing 4 laptops, okay, but how many people are coming with you? Are you coming alone? Do you have a family? Do you come with 4 laptops just for yourself? Then customs will most likely say, 4 laptops for one guy. That's weird, So they'll probably want to charge again. There's no law saying anywhere that the person cannot have 4 laptops, okay?
Yes.
But the thing is, how will this guy think? Because then he is the authority there, you see? You
Well,
can have another guy that
yes,
has
they
more
get the
authority
last
than him.
word, right? They get the last word.
Exactly. That's the challenge. And in customs, I tell you, I had a very big project where we worked and we had a container stuck for 2 months there. I was not dealing with that until 2 months passed by. And so they called me and they said, "Hey, Luis, I need your help because I have this container stuck and I can't take it out." And I was like, "Okay, let me see what we can do." And the way I behaved with customs was literally like, "Oh yeah, please, if you could help me, no, it would be very nice. Please, if you can help me, no." Always being very, very humble.
Yeah.
Because if you are not humble, if you just go there, no, I know how these things deal, and you are doing a wrong thing, and blah blah blah. They're like, "Okay, we'll stay here another month."
Yes.
It's
Okay.
just like that, you see.
Yes.
So
Well, of course. And it's worth remembering that, and I would extend that to dealing with any officers of the establishment.
it's just like that. It's not.
Absolutely. Yes.
Don't get mad. Understand they are doing their job. They are not against you personally.
Yes.
And they are just trying to protect their job actually. Okay, so and they want to look good for what they're doing. Okay, and I have nothing against these people. Okay, because this is a public thing, and I want everyone to know that I like everyone. Just kidding. No, but
Excellent point to end on.
not just kidding, literally.
Danny,
But
very helpful information. Thank you. And I think we should stop the recording there because it's quite a long one so far. And Sid, I'm so sorry. Will we talk about moving pets today? We'll do that next after we stop the recording. But for the time being, Luis, excellent. Very, very comprehensive information there from you. And let's stick around to answer a few more questions. So thank you for being here tonight. Thank you, everybody, for asking your questions. Let's ask a few more now.